Hello and welcome to Gravitaswins Conversations. I'm your host, Joseph Jude. When we think of marketing, we need to use all formats of content that are possible. That includes image, text, and not forgetting video. But most small businesses think video is way too expensive. My guest today, Naseef, has a solution for that. He says small businesses can do video marketing in a very, very lean budget. Let's find that out today. Hello, Naseef. Welcome to the conversation.
Thanks a lot, Joseph. Thanks for having me.
Let's start with this question. Why should video be part of marketing for small businesses?
I think it's more of a business thing than a marketing thing. Videos are the content format that every platform is supporting nowadays. And especially if you're in the early stages of your business and you don't have a recognizable brand and people have not seen you, especially like for me who has launched a company very recently, they have not seen me. I don't go to live events. I don't go to conferences. So the only way for people to see me is through videos. So the kind of sessions we are doing right now, that's how people get to see me, and they at least feel like I've seen this guy and I know him, though we have not met in person. So I think than just marketing from a business's standpoint, videos are very important for people to get to know you, especially if you are not a large personal brand yourself or people have not seen you as a business or the people behind the business in person. Uh, the second thing is that, like I said, a lot of platforms are now boosting video. We know that YouTube shorts are getting very popular. They're getting a large number of views. YouTube's algorithm itself is pushing it a lot. And active B2B platforms like LinkedIn, they're also pushing video quite a lot. I've seen very recently that LinkedIn is trying to organically push videos a lot. So I don't think there is any reason for any business, especially B2B businesses, to not start using video, because that's one of the, if not for in-person meetings, videos are the next best way for you to establish a connect with your audience.
What are the key steps that are involved in creating a good video marketing campaign?
I usually don't look at a video as a campaign as such. I
Okay.
look at it more like an asset that is created for eternity. People say that you have to create evergreen content for it to do well over the long run. That's a different discussion altogether. Essentially, there are three steps. The first is planning, which is where you decide what type of video to create. Are you going to create explainer videos, product specific videos, talking face videos, what type of video to create? Second is what topics should you create videos around? That's also very critical. What should be the duration of the video, for example? How should the storyboard look like? You might not create the entire script in the first step, but you plan it out completely end to end, including keywords, how should the content look like, the format, etc. The second step is the creation process, which is where if you are doing a video with a professional voiceover, you have to write the script, you have to convert the storyboard into the script, then you have to actually create the video, do the editing part, the review part, etc. And depending on the type of video you create, the scripting might also vary, right? If you are doing something like a webinar, you might do it unscripted as well, or you can do it completely scripted. You can do it live or on demand. If it's a short 2 to 3 minute video where you are sharing tips, let's say 5 tips for video marketing, that is going to be something like me talking in front of a camera, and that again will require a different kind of a script, right? So it all depends on the type of video you create as well. So creation is the second stage, and the third stage is the optimization and promotion stage. So depending on the platform that you're using to promote the video, let's say for example YouTube, there are different elements like the title of the video, the file name, the description, the thumbnail, that you have to optimize for the video to do well on a platform like YouTube. Or if you're promoting a video on LinkedIn, similarly, there are a few best practices that you have to follow, like starting with a good hook, again, adding a nice thumbnail, keeping the video not too very long. So things like those. So depending on the platform, there are different optimization techniques. And for promotion, again, there are a lot of ways in which you can do it. Like I said, YouTube, LinkedIn, and probably if we get the time, we'll talk about more techniques as well as we go along. But essentially, this is how I look at it. You start with planning, you have the creation stage, and finally, you have the optimization and promotion stage.
So, Naseef, you gave an example of a solopreneur as a content marketer, but let's talk about a CMO of an IT services. They want to create content for an IT services from their firm. How should they go about doing it? What are the different content that they can do? Because say for example, if it's a product company, it's a lot more easier. They can do an explainer
Yeah.
video. They can show the product being used at different situations. But how should this be done for a services company?
So first, of course, they have to promote their services, right? So along those lines, they have to talk about how each of their services will help particular use cases in industry. Let's say, for example, I started my career with an IT company with Hexaware Technologies. So Hexaware Technologies was primarily serving 405 industries back in the time, and one of them was banking and financial services. So if you have, let's say, application support, if you offer as a company application support and maintenance services, you probably would want to talk about how the company's application support and maintenance services can make a change to the way a bank operates digitally, right? There are more details to it, but I'm just
Hmm,
staying at
hmm,
a 10,000 feet
hmm.
level. So if you start thinking in this direction, you will start creating that tree, like I said a little while back. You start with an anchor, you divide that into different categories, and then you add multiple branches to it. So in banking, in application support, what are the use cases and how you as a company, how your capabilities can make a difference. So that's one way of thinking about it. The other way is that this is when you talk about your services, right? The second thing is that the three major objectives that any video should have, or a video should have at least one of these three objectives. One is entertain, second
Mhm,
emote, or third educate. Right. So when
mhm.
you think about your content, and it works for businesses also. This is not just for individual creators; it works for businesses as well. You can think this in this direction. Right. One is you can, if you put the first category under education. Let's say you're trying to help your prospects as to how a specific set of services is helping them solve a problem. So that can be put under the educate segment. The second is, I recently saw a campaign from HP. It was in the cybersecurity space, and they're talking about the implications of a cybersecurity data breach.
Mm.
And they were actually trying to inflict fear in you, the viewers, and I think they did a very good job at it. And this is how you emote, right? You're obviously you want to sell your solutions, and they're not talking about the solution at all. They just had, at the end, at the beginning, an intro and outro about HP. That's it. But throughout the video, they were creating a story as to what are the implications of a data breach and how cybersecurity as a domain can help. Right? So that's an example of an emotional kind of video. The other thing can be entertaining. Let's say, for example, you're having a festival celebration in your office, right? You can convert that into video, and these kind of videos and posts tend to get more engagement on YouTube or any platform for that matter, because we all like to see great things happening around us. So these are essentially the three pillars in which you can think. And then, like I said, if you follow the same structure, you will start finding more ideas within these three.
Okay. So, okay, I have understood the need for video marketing, the three steps that you gave: planning, creation, and distribution and promotion that you talked about, and now the three forms of the video content: education, emotion, and entertainment. So, you've talked about all of those things. I've gotten all of these things. Now I'm ready. What are the equipments and tools and the software that I should use? What would you recommend as a lean video marketing? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so it all depends on the stage that you are in, right? You can create videos with very less investment, and you can go all the way up to setting up a professional video studio, right? And it really depends on how you want to do it. So if you're starting off, especially if you're someone like me, a business owner who has recently started off, you obviously want to operate lean, right? And you have to look for ways to not burn your dollars a lot, right? And there are a few elements that you have to consider, right? One is, of course, a camera. So you don't have to essentially go for those 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh INR cameras. You can start with either your own laptop's camera, which might not offer a great quality, but if you want to take it one step higher, you can go for a web camera. Like, for example, I'm using a web camera now. The second thing is lighting. uh, as much as possible, if you don't want to invest in lighting, you can go, if you have a good natural lighting source in your room, try and use that. right? I'm not using a lighting right now, though it's not something that I would personally recommend. But if you want to operate lean, these things, it's your content that matters more, right?
Mm.
It's not the lighting, it's not the setup. The third thing is a microphone. You can either use your own headset that you already have, or you can buy a decent microphone for as less as 2000 rupees, not more than that. So you can go higher as you mature more, but you can start with that. So that's in terms of the hardware equipment. When it comes to software, if you are hosting your own content and doing sessions like these by inviting guests, you can either go for something like a Riverside that Joseph is right now using, we are using right now, for which of course you'll have to pay, or you can go for all the usual video conferencing applications that we use like Zoom or Teams. If you already have a paid subscription, well and great, you can go with that. You don't have to use like a Riverside. There are other options like Restream, StreamYard, etc. If you want to go for the paid ones. So that's on the streaming part of it. If you are recording videos like these, if you are screen recording a video, then you can go for tools like Loom or Vid.io, which again, of course, are paid services, but with a watermark, a lot of these tools offer their free versions as well, right? So if you're okay having a watermark on your video, you can start using them as well. For editing, my all-time favorite, Canva. I do very basic editing on Canva. I'm not a video editor. I edit my own videos. I use Canva for it. But if you already know video editing as a skill, then you can think about using something like an Adobe Premiere. If you have a MacBook, it comes with iMovies. That's a decent tool as well. So basically, it's about trying to use first what you have with you as your own resources, whether it's software or hardware. Second, think about what are the things that you might have to purchase but at a very limited budget, and you will find a lot of options. You search on YouTube, go watch reviews, and buy something that fits your pocket. So that's how you start, and if you want to scale, you can do that gradually, right? If you go want to improve your lighting, you can go for a softbox lighting setup. You can go for a professional camera. A very popular type of microphone used by YouTube creators is the Blue Yeti mic, which costs, I think, starts from 9,000, 10,000 rupees. So there are plenty of options, but you can start small, like how I am doing, and then slowly improve from there.
Yeah. You can also start with your own smartphone as well. For many of the
Exactly, miss that.
for many of the Instagrammers, in fact, even some of the latest phones, the Google Pixels, the iOS phones, their resolution is extremely good. It's fantastic. So you can
Yeah.
use those as well. If you're recording outside, the audio may not be really good, but yeah, inside a room, it's really good. Okay, so we have talked about creating this particular video, planning, content, all of those kinds of stuff. How can I use this video multiple times? What are the different ways I can use it? Is it only hosted on YouTube and done? What are the different ways I can use it?
One of the biggest mistakes that especially B2B businesses do is that they create a video and forget about it. If you look at individual creators or influencers, they're very good at using their video content in multiple other ways. But B2B businesses in general, they're a little, they don't utilize the potential of videos to the fullest extent when it comes to distribution. So one thing, like you said, you post it on YouTube and you try to optimize it as much as possible using the elements that I mentioned in the beginning, like you optimize the title, the description, the hashtags that you use, the thumbnail you use. You make sure you add end cards. So there are those YouTube optimization techniques that you have to follow, of course. So that's where you start, right? And you over time you start ranking well on YouTube if you do the SEO elements correct. And you can go for tools like vidIQ or TubeBuddy, which will help you understand what are the different trending topics in your space, keywords that you should pick, hashtags you should go after. Even YouTube's native platform has a tab called research, wherein you will be able to understand in a specific niche. If you put in a keyword, YouTube will give you a set of keywords along with their volume, not a volume value. You will be able to see whether it is high, medium, or low. So you can make use of all these tools to make sure you optimize the video for YouTube SEO. That is number one. The second thing is that think about where else can you use it and how can you use it.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the where part is, of course, other platforms, right? Can you use it on LinkedIn? And within LinkedIn, can you promote it on the company page? Can you promote it on your own employees or leaders pages, right? Their handles. you as a company, are you having multiple pages, for example? So my business Scale Grow, it has a company handle, and I have another newsletter for which I have a different LinkedIn handle. So if you have multiple handles or multiple pages for your business, try to leverage that as well. And if you want to go one step further, and if you have the time and resources, you can start posting in relevant LinkedIn groups as well. So that's how we can do it as far as LinkedIn is concerned. The other ways in which you can do is, where else can you embed the content, right? Where are the other related pieces where you can embed the content? Blog post, for example. Let's say you are writing an article on 5 video marketing tips, taking a very generic example. You can create a video, or probably you would have already created a video that talks about 5 video marketing tips or whatever, or a specific tip that we have spoken about in that article. In that section, you can easily embed that video, and it fits into the context as well. So if, let's say, 100 people visit that article per day, if 10 people click, that adds to 10 views to your YouTube channel as well. And with increase in views, it will help further boost YouTube SEO as well, right? Can you also include this in your other campaigns, like, for example, email campaigns, uh, or let's say your LinkedIn outreach campaigns? So one of the things that you can do is, especially when salespeople or SDRs reach out to prospects on LinkedIn, I don't see a lot of them using supporting material. Usually is just a pitch deck or a link to the services page, right? But what you can do is, if you have a founder or a CA, let's say a CEO, let's say, for example, who shares thought leadership content in your industry. Let's say he or she has spoken in a recent conference, sharing thoughts on whatever your niche is, right? You can use that as a link, as a supporting content in your outreach, right? So that helps further improve your videos reach and distribution, right? So if you think like this, you will always find different avenues for you to include these videos. And I've also seen people doing this in email signatures, but it's up to you whether you want to do it. Let's say you recently, and this can be done specifically for event related videos. Let's say, for example, your company raised a funding recently and you want to maximize the reach. You can start adding the link in your email signature as well, so that whenever your email goes out, people see it, and some of them might click on it as well, right? So that's another way in which you can actually promote your videos. The second thing is that if you are doing, let's say, webinars, if you are speaking in live conferences, you can use your video as a supporting material for your presentation as well. And it really depends on the type of video, but it's all about thinking in the direction of how I can use every single opportunity to promote my business. And video, of course, is one of the most important content types that you have.
Naseef, CMOs, when you talk to them, one of the things that almost all of the executives will talk about is the KPIs. Because anything that they
Yeah.
do, they need to track how is it performing, what's the kind of returns I'm getting, and so on and so forth. So with respect to video as such, what are the KPIs that people can track, and how can they track?
So I think video is a very demand gen specific channel, right? I see this tendency for people to see it as a demand capture channel. And what I mean by that is, people think, okay, I have created 10 videos. I should be getting 5 leads each, at least from one video. So shouldn't video have contributed to 50 leads in total, right? I think we'll have to do away first with that kind of a mindset, because videos don't work that way. I'll give you a real life example from my company, the last company that I worked in, Econ Systems. We had a customer come and tell us, we saw your video on this particular product and it was very well done. Why don't you do more such videos? Right? So there was no attribution, there was no tracking in your Google Analytics. Your analytics tool didn't tell you this information, but you have to understand that this kind of an impact happens. So that said, you obviously want to try and track this as much as possible. You can set up tracking in Google Analytics, how much of traffic you are getting from YouTube, how many conversions are happening. If you do the goal definition set up properly in Google Analytics, you'll be able to see how many conversions YouTube as a channel has contributed to. So that is how you try to capture how much it has contributed to increasing the pipeline or leads of the company. But what I personally prefer to do is, like I said, consider it as a pure demand generation channel, where I want to measure more of a top of the funnel metrics, I mean. For example, it depends on the platforms as well that you use. Let's say if you're using YouTube, what are the different metrics that you can look at? One is, of course, at a video level, you can look at the number of views, the likes, comments that you get. But at a consolidated channel level, in YouTube, you can look at the total number of impressions that you are getting for your video, the total number of clicks, the click-through rate, the number of subscribers that you have, the total watch hours you have received, the retention rate of your video. So retention rate, apparently, as YouTube says, it is one of the most important metrics among the other things that I mentioned, which is why you see a lot of creators starting with hooks like, here are 7 ways to improve your productivity, and the seventh one will shock you, right? So you would have seen hooks like those, intros like those. That is because YouTube gives a lot of value to retention rate, and people want you to see, creators want you to see the video till the end. So retention rate is another metric. So this is what you can see on YouTube. If you're using LinkedIn as a platform, you can look at the number of, so when you post on LinkedIn, a video on LinkedIn, it will tell you how many people have, how many unique viewers have you received, and how many total views have you received, and what is the number of minutes for which the video has been viewed. So there, the number of the kind of metrics is slightly different, right? So depending on the platform that you use for hosting the video, the metrics might change. Plus, on YouTube, you can dive a little deeper also. You can look at the demographic data of your viewers. How many subscribers versus non-subscribers have viewed your video. So you get all this data in YouTube analytics, basically. And whenever you are putting YouTube elsewhere, YouTube video elsewhere, if you're embedding the video using the YouTube code snippet on your website or an email, you will be able to see how much traffic has come from those sources as well. It will show up as external sources in YouTube analytics. So you'll be able to see, dig down and see that kind of breakdown as well, right? So these are basically the top of the funnel metrics you can measure. Plus, like I said in the beginning, you can also go one level deeper and look at your Google Analytics data to see how much of a traffic YouTube has brought in and how many conversions it has resulted in.
Okay, let's talk some examples now. You already talked about HP's cybersecurity video. What are the other examples, B2B examples that you have seen done really well? Either one of the examples that you gave is the CEO talking about certain topics as a thought
Hmm.
leader. Have you seen some of these videos? Can you share some of the examples?
So one of the companies, an Indian example that I like a lot and I think has done video marketing, especially on LinkedIn. They are not that big on YouTube yet, but they actively promote videos on YouTube. The company is Factors AI. It's a Bangalore-based company, and they sell a marketing attribution and analytics platform. And they have created some videos which are like platform walkthrough videos where they show this is how the platform works and this is the kind of data that you get in the platform. And you see a lot of, this is a recent trend in the B2B space where you have, and that's the entire model behind tools like Loom, wherein you create these screen recording videos.
Hmm.
Rather than you telling, hey, these are the features of my software, you give a real feel of what it looks like or how it looks like inside the platform, right? So I see Factors I doing this well. They do a lot of LinkedIn live events as well, where they collaborate with their ideal customer personas, VPs of marketing or chief operating officers or even CEOs for that matter. So they collaborate with these creators as well to host LinkedIn live events. Even that is video marketing, right? So that's another example. And the CEO as well, like you said, the CEO as well comes on some of these videos and he talks about, how the product helps or in general about how marketing analytics is changing or helping businesses arrive at better decisions, right? So that's one example that I can think of. Another one, a product that we all have heard about and is an excellent example of category creation in B2B, which is Gong. So Gong is a sales intelligence and conversational analytics or intelligence platform that will help you analyze sales conversations with prospects and give you insights as to how you can improve it. Right. So Gong has this video on YouTube that takes you through a daily routine of a VP of sales and how the product
Hmm.
helps that VP of sales improve his or her productivity. Uh, and why this is so attractive to me is that I've never seen a video which is more laser targeted or so sharply targeted to to a persona. So VP of sales is probably the most important target customer for Gong, and they have spoken to that persona, right? Yet the 2 to 3 minute video takes you through the routine of a VP of sales and how he starts his day, how he opens Gong, and how does he use all the insights he gets from the tool, and how he uses that to reduce time, improve his productivity, achieve better results, etc. So I found that video to be very attractive. So that's a great example I can think of. Another Indian example is a media company. It's an online media company called Analytics India Magazine. They're quite big on YouTube, and it's not just one video, but a mix of videos that they're doing, like all the examples that we mentioned, right? Either they do live video podcasts like these, or they sometimes have their founder come and speak on a video about a particular topic. So there is a wide variety of videos that they're creating. So that's another example that I can think of.
Okay. So fantastic. Well, really good examples. Now, let's flip it. What are the mistakes that you've seen people do while doing video marketing?
So one thing I think we have already covered is that you create a video and you forget about
Mm,
it, right? That's the biggest sin you can do as a marketer, because you're not already using your existing potential. People go behind new things, but they sometimes forget to leverage what they already have. So that's number one. The second thing is that people think it's too difficult, or it's too expensive to get started with videos, right? I think it's, to some extent, it's that image is created by marketing agencies as well, because whenever you try to outsource video creation to anybody, it's pretty damn expensive, right? But as a matter of fact, it's not that expensive, because we spoke about how you
yeah.
can do video marketing lean, right? So it's not going to cost you much in terms of equipment, software, etc. What else do you need? You need a video editor probably, and you can, in India, you can get a
Mm,
decent video editor at 60K per
mm,
month, not more than that, right? As an individual contributor, you can find people for that kind of a salary. The second thing is that you need a subscription to stock image and video databases, right? You have Shutterstock, you have iStock, whichever you want to go with. They offer different kinds of
mm,
plans, right? And they're not very costly either. You can either go with a per image purchase model, or they offer like a package, you buy 20, 30 a month, whether it's images or videos, right? So that's all you're going to end up spending it. So it's actually not a lot, right, if you look at it. So you can start with video marketing quite cheap, and if you don't want to hire a video marketer internally, you can go to websites like Fiverr or Upwork for basic editing work, I'm
mm,
saying.
mm,
For something a little more comprehensive, where you want end-to-end help, I suggest that you probably go with a specialized video marketing agency, or any marketing agency that does a good job in this. But you can get things done for much lesser than you think when it comes to video marketing. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is that people think it takes a lot of time.
mm,
I'm not saying it doesn't take time at all, but there are ways in which you can reduce the time, right? One is, instead of, a lot of people, they have uh, they start to think, because the kind of videos that we have seen on YouTube are like those fancy, good lighting, long videos with properly scripted ones and all of that stuff, right? You don't have to necessarily create videos like those, right? Think about conversations like these conversations go for like 45 minutes, 1 hour, and you can easily repurpose, split this into pieces, post it in multiple platforms. So one single effort of 1 hour, and probably another couple of hours of preparation max, gives you something that you can use for your lifetime,
mm.
right? So it doesn't necessarily have to involve a lot of effort, right? Of course, as you progress, you can try to invest more time and try to do that more professionally. But what I'm saying is that it doesn't take as much of an effort as you think, because I'm running an agency. I don't have, in fact, I take care of all my video marketing efforts, and I already have a YouTube channel that I've started where I publish 14 videos, right? So if someone like me can do this, anyone can do this. So that's the third mistake I feel, and I think it's people start change. It's time that people start changing these beliefs, and there is no excuse for you to not start with video marketing.
I hope people get the mistakes that they do and the solutions for that. That's why we are talking about lean video marketing.
Yeah.
Good. Nasif, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me about this lean video marketing with the tools, the process, the examples, and the mistakes. Now, to all my guests, I ask three rapid fire questions. Okay.
Okay.
So let's go into it. The first thing is, what's the kindest thing anyone has done for you?
Uh, okay, interesting question. I would say if I were to take a recent example, so it's not just one instance, but whenever someone agrees to give their time either virtually like this or in person for something that doesn't concern them immediately, I find that very valuable and very kind of them. Right? And I'm of course given the stage that I'm in my business, I'm trying to build relationships, and if someone has taken the time to come to, let's say, a coffee shop to meet me for, like I said, something that doesn't concern them immediately, I find that to be very kind and very considerate of them.
The second one is, this podcast is about leadership. In that particular sense, what is the best leadership quality you think is the one, and who manifested in your life?
I think one thing that, I mean, there are of course a lot of other qualities in a leader. Compassion, you talk about empathy and lead from the front and things like those. But what I feel is one of the biggest responsibilities of a leader is to create an environment for learning.
Hmm.
It need not be necessarily in the form of taking daily 15-minute sessions on this is how you should do your work, but more like either guiding you in the right direction, maybe, hey, why don't you take that course, or why don't you go for this particular event, and not just related to what that business is doing, right? It's outside of that is what I mean, right? Or why don't you take help from this person, why don't you read this book, things like these, where you create that environment for learning. And sometimes you don't actually realize this is happening, and the leader also sometimes does this unintentionally, right? So I when I started my career with Hexaware, that's where I started learning marketing, and I found Hexaware to be a great place, the marketing team to be a great place to learn these things. I don't know if she did this intentionally or unintentionally, but I'm talking about the then CMO of Hexaware, Aparna Jera, who was my boss's boss. I was reporting to someone who was reporting to the CMO. So I was basically CMO minus two at Hexaware. But she's not working with Hexaware anymore. But what I was about to say is that she was very enthusiastic about tech. So she came from a tech background. She then became a marketer later, and she used to try every single marketing tool out there, everything cool that came to the market. She at least should had people evaluate it, and since it was, I was actually part of the marketing analytics and martech team there, and it was my responsibility to evaluate these tools. So that's how I got a lot of exposure to cool tools that in usual scenarios marketers would not have access to. Let's say, for example, demand base. It's an intent intelligence and ABM platform. Now it is very popular, but back in 2018-19 nobody knew about it, right? So that at that time I got an opportunity to be hands-on on that platform. So I think that creating that opportunity for people to learn is very important. I think that's a key trait any leader should
Absolutely, absolutely. Finally, Naseef, what is your definition of living a good life?
have. So I think it keeps changing as you grow older. You know, if you ask me 5, 6 years back, it probably would have been all work, work. Now, as I grow more mature and I'm still early in my life, learning the ropes of life. But now my definition of a good life has changed. A good life, at the moment, the definition is balancing time with work and family, plus inching towards your long term goal every single day, right? Like for me, professionally, the goal is setting up my business, giving it stability, create a team, create a space for people to come together. So that's my long term goal, and I have to be inching towards it every single day. Even the conversation that we're having today is actually part of that long term goal.
I'm happy to be part of your long term journey, Naseef.
And yeah, I mean, thanks a lot for the opportunity. Like I said, you asked me what is the kindest thing someone has done to me, and this is a great example. Like I said, someone giving out their time and to have a conversation with me. So that itself is a great gesture. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Naseef. I reciprocate that in the sense that, again, I don't make money out of podcast. And for me to speak to some of the experts, I get a free lesson, an hour marketing marketing masterclass in video marketing. So I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
My pleasure, Joseph.
I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Can I request you to share the key takeaways from today's podcast? If you like the conversation, please share the podcast with all the others. Have a life of wins.